don't want my future to be dependent upon this founder of this company. Start a side hustle, part-time gig, doing something you're passionate about. You have that fallback position, that other thing that you're working on that you can fall back on.
And let's talk a little bit at the beginning of the show. We were speaking a bit about the unemployment numbers and how, let's face it, the economy goes through cycles. We go through expansion, we'll have some sort of plateau effect, and then we'll go into some sort of recessive period or recession. Hopefully we don't go to depression, and then we go back to expansion again. And that cycle's been going as long as money has been around, and jobs for that matter. So out of curiosity, what are some of the, let me share some of the fears that some of my clients have expressed to me that have gone through it recently, especially right after COVID. I had quite a few women that were forced out of the workforce in their late 50s and weren't quite ready for retirement. So I'm just curious, what are some of, because I'm sure you've come across that, what are some of the tools or the tips that you have for some of those individuals? Because that can be a really tough time for them.
Yeah. I do talk to women about this, and, it might be more applicable to women before they go through this. There's some tips before and after. But definitely, always have that plan B. I cut my teeth, if you will, in corporate America, where my mom was a school teacher and my dad owned a gas station. So there was no being laid off for them. And so that concept was new to me. And the first time I experienced it, I was like, oh, damn, they can just cut my knees off right from underneath me. So I kind of always had a plan B. This is where emergency funds and those types of things come in. And I also made sure to keep up on my skills, which at the time were marketing, to make myself marketable and to have those networks and those connections. So I think women can have that in their back pocket to make sure that you have those things in case you need them. Now, one of the issues is, ageism, right? I wasn't laid off at 55. I'm an entrepreneur. So one of the things that I did was I said, you know what, I don't want my future to be dependent upon this founder of this company making a go of it, because I was in high tech startups. That's a little too much risk for my comfort level, especially as you're getting older and you're like, am I going to be replaced by a young person? So oftentimes I say to women, start a side hustle, part-time gig, doing something you're passionate about. With the internet, it's just, there's so many different opportunities. So that can be part of your plan B too, that you have that fallback position, that other thing that you're working on that you can fall back on. And I talk with women all the time about what are some things you can do to explore what your skill set is and how you could set yourself up for those part-time gigs or side hustles that could honestly become full-time. Women in retirement are launching businesses at a greater rate than the other parts of the population. And so I think we have such tremendous opportunity there. But having that financial cushion is really important because, again, you can get laid off. Luckily for me, I've been laid off a few times with company closures and companies not meeting financial expectations, never performance. But, I always had a financial cushion to carry me through, and I had a marketable career, skill set. So I was able to kind of jump back into the fray quickly. And then when I transitioned to entrepreneurship, it was part-time while I kept my full-time job. And eventually I cut the cord from a corporate perspective and went for a lifestyle career where I could raise my kids. Now, obviously, when you do that, there's some downsides to it, right? So my 401k or my, whatever retirement savings would be bigger now if I had probably stayed in corporate America. Well, arguably my business is going to be worth quite a bit when I retire, but barring that, I gave up some retirement savings years. But for me, I raised 3 really amazing humans, and to me, that's worth any amount of money in the world. But women have those choices. Well, I think men have those choices also. We're talking about women here, but you can make those conscious choices, or sometimes it just happens to you and you're forced into early retirement. And then you kind of go, this, what are my values? What are my priorities? I mean, I think COVID kind of, had a lot of people thinking and saying, gee, like working from home is kind of cool, right? And it
Sure is.
changed the
I was
trajectory.
doing it before the cool kids started doing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I've
me
been doing
too.
Zoom meetings since 2015. So
I got you beat. I worked for a company called 3Com out in California, and we were technology leaders in remote work. And so
okay.
I was forced to work from home 1 day a week. Oh, shucks, that stunk, but
Darn.
no. So yeah, that was way, way, way back when. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I like to think of it as there's lots of opportunity in even in the face of being laid off. One of my layoffs, I was on the floor of my bathroom for a couple days, just OMG, like, what am I going to do? And, you pick yourself up, you brush yourself off, and you implement that plan B and say, you know what, life isn't linear, it's a zig and a zag. And, positive mindset is huge in my book. Being physically and mentally strong. So I do talk to women about that because we're going to have adversity. And if our bodies and our minds aren't physically strong, that adversity is going to have a bigger toll on us. So, try to bolster up your strength in other areas so that maybe if your finances or your job take a hit, at least you can withstand that stress a lot easier. So just a few of my tips.
All right, ladies, if you're over 50 and you're starting to think, am I ready for retirement? Let me save you some Googling. You don't need a better calculator. You need a better plan and the right people around you. That's what you'll find inside my Her Retirement Collective. It's smart, it's supportive, and it's made just for you. So come join us. Let's get you happier, healthier, and wealthier. You can learn more about the collective at herretirement.com.